I used to cover the mirror in my bathroom for 2 years because I couldn't stand looking at my own gray roots growing out. That's the truth, and I know a lot of you have done some version of that too. Turned away from your own reflection because the hair looking back didn't feel like yours anymore. Short gray hair on a woman over 60 is one of the most flattering, most underused looks out there. And today I'm walking you through the styles that actually work, the cuts that take years off your face without a single dye job, and the small details stylists use that make gray hair look intentional instead of accidental. I researched the best haircuts and styling tricks for women over 60, so you get real results, fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The pixie that actually works on gray hair. Most women think a pixie cut needs thick, dark hair to look sharp, and that's backwards. Gray hair has a different texture than it did at 30. It's often coarser, sometimes wirier, and that texture is exactly what gives a pixie its structure. The thinner, flatter hair of youth actually struggles to hold the kind of definition a pixie needs. Your hair right now, at this stage, has more of what a great pixie wants than it did decades ago. Here's where most women get it wrong though. They walk into the salon and ask for a pixie, without specifying length on top, and they walk out with something cut too short and too uniform, which on gray hair reads flat and a little severe under bright light. The fix is asking for length retention on top, somewhere between 2 and 3 inches, with the sides and back cut shorter and gradually blended up. That length on top is what lets you create movement. A soft side sweep, a slight tousle, something with shape instead of a helmet of uniform gray. Once that length is in place, the styling matters as much as the cut itself. A small amount of matte styling cream. Not gel, never gel on gray hair, because gel flattens the natural shine gray hair has and makes it look dull instead of luminous. Work through damp hair before you blow it out with your fingers, lifting at the root as you go. That lift at the root is the single biggest thing that changes how a pixie reads on an older face. Hair that lies flat against the scalp pulls everything downward. Your whole face reads tired, even if you're not. Hair with lift at the crown does the opposite. It opens up your whole expression. People who haven't seen you in a while will tell you that you look rested. And what they're actually responding to is the lift, not sleep. There's a version of this cut I want to flag specifically, because it's the one that gets requested most after a woman sees it on someone else. The asymmetric pixie, where one side is cut slightly shorter than the other and a longer piece sweeps across the forehead. On gray hair specifically, this asymmetry does something interesting. It draws the eye in a diagonal line across the face instead of straight down, which is the same trick a good pair of earrings or a well-placed scarf does. It's a small architectural choice that makes the whole face feel more dynamic. I had a client tell me once that after she got this exact cut, a man at her gym asked if she'd always had short hair. Like he genuinely couldn't picture her any other way. That's the tell that a cut is working. When it stops looking like a choice and starts looking like just who you are. The before was hair worn long past the shoulders, parted flat down the middle, no layering. The after is this shorter, lifted, asymmetric pixie with movement at the crown. Now the pixie isn't the only cut that flatters gray hair this well. There's a longer option that gives you a different kind of versatility. And that's where we're headed next. Part 2. The textured crop most stylists recommend first. If you sat down in a chair with a stylist who specializes in gray transitions and told them you wanted something short but not too short, there's a specific cut that comes up before almost anything else, and it's the textured crop. It's not as committed as a pixie, and it's not as much upkeep as anything shoulder length. It sits right in that middle zone, and that's exactly why it's recommended first. It gives a stylist room to shape your face without locking you into something dramatic on day one. Here's what a lot of women don't realize about a crop versus a pixie. A crop keeps more weight through the top, and the crown is cut into rather than left smooth, which means the hair has texture built in rather than relying purely on styling product to create shape. That's a meaningful difference if your morning routine is short, and you don't want to spend 10 minutes with a dryer and a brush every single day. The fix that makes this cut actually land well on gray hair specifically is texturizing scissors at the very ends, rather than a blunt cut straight across. A blunt cut on gray hair tends to look heavier and can read older than it should, almost like a solid gray block. Texturized ends let light move through the hair instead of bouncing flatly off it, And that movement of light is part of what makes gray hair look silver and luminous instead of just gray and flat. When this is done right, the result is a softer overall look without losing any of the short hair confidence. You still get the ease of short hair. Quick to dry, easy to style, nothing trailing into your collar, but the silhouette around your face is softer than a sharp pixie, which tends to suit women with a more angular bone structure, or anyone who wants the short cut without quite as much of a statement. A woman I know switched from a blunt cut bob she'd worn for 15 years to this exact crop, and she told me the first week felt strange because people kept commenting on her eyes, not her hair. That's the snapback here. When the texture is doing its job and the cut isn't competing with your face, attention moves to your actual features instead of staying on the haircut itself. The styling routine for this one is almost embarrassingly simple. A dime-sized amount of a lightweight texturizing paste, rubbed between your palms, then scrunched gently upward into damp hair. No brush needed most days. Let it air dry or give it 30 seconds with a dryer on low if you're in a hurry. The before here is a blunt, heavy bob with no texturizing, hanging flat against the jaw. The after is this textured crop with light moving through the layered ends. There's one more cut in this category that takes things a step further for women who want maximum ease with zero compromise on style. And it might surprise you how short it goes. Part 3. The close-cropped cut that reads as confidence, not severity. There's a version of short hair that scares a lot of women off before they've even tried it, a very close-cropped cut, sometimes called a buzz pixie or a cropped undercut style. And the fear almost always comes from one specific worry. The worry is that it'll look harsh, that it'll read as a statement they didn't mean to make, rather than just a haircut they like. And I understand exactly where that worry comes from, because the image most of us have of close-cropped hair comes from photos taken under terrible lighting, styled with no intention at all. What actually makes this cut read as confident rather than severe comes down to one specific technical choice. A gradual taper at the nape and around the ears, rather than a hard line. A hard line at the hairline is what creates that harsh, almost military read. A soft taper does the opposite. It lets the hair fade gradually into the skin, which is the same softening effect a good gradient does in any visual design. There's nothing abrupt for the eye to catch on. The other piece that changes everything is length on top, even on a close crop. We're talking somewhere around ½ an inch to an inch, just enough that it can be brushed slightly forward or to the side, giving you something to style rather than nothing at all. A crop with truly zero length on top has no give, no options. A crop with that small amount of length on top can shift its whole mood depending on how you brush it that morning. Here's the part that actually changes how this cut is received by other people. And it's almost entirely about posture and eye contact rather than the hair itself. A close crop puts your entire face on display. There's no hair to hide behind, no length to angle forward when you feel self-conscious. Women who wear this cut will tend to stand a little taller and meet eyes more directly, almost without realizing they're doing it, because the haircut itself doesn't allow for hiding. A reader once told me that after she cut her hair this short, a stranger in line at the grocery store told her she had the kind of face that could pull off anything. She said she'd never once in her life thought of her face that way until the haircut forced her to actually look at it, fully, without hair softening the edges. The before is shoulder-length hair, often pulled back into a low ponytail to manage the gray roots. The after is this close-cropped cut with a soft taper and a small amount of stylable length on top. What we haven't talked about yet is how to make any of these cuts last between salon visits without the grow-out looking messy, and that's actually the part most women ask about more than anything else. Part 4. Keeping the cut sharp between salon visits. There's something stylists rarely say out loud in the chair, because it sounds like they're trying to upsell you, but it's actually one of the most useful things you can know going in. Short cuts on gray hair grow out faster looking than the same cut would on longer hair. Not because the hair itself grows any quicker, but because the proportions of a short cut are so precise that even a quarter inch of growth visibly shifts the shape. On long hair, an inch of growth barely registers. On a tight pixie or crop, ½ an inch changes the whole silhouette. This is why the standard 4 to 6 week salon schedule that gets recommended for long hair doesn't actually apply here. For most of the cuts we've talked through, 3 to 4 weeks is closer to right if you want the shape to stay as sharp as it looked the day you walked out of the chair. The fix, if 4 weeks feels too frequent for your schedule or your budget, isn't to stretch the full cutout longer. It's to ask your stylist specifically for a neckline and edge cleanup appointment between full cuts, a much shorter, much cheaper visit that just tidies the nape, the sideburns, and the edges around the ears without touching the overall length or shape on top. Most salons will do this in 15 minutes for a fraction of a full cut's price. That small cleanup appointment is what actually changes how the cut holds up day to day. The areas that grow out fastest and look messiest fastest, the nape and around the ears, are exactly the areas this quick appointment targets. You walk out with the same overall shape you've had for weeks, but the edges look freshly cut again, which resets the whole impression of the cut without the cost or time of a full restyle. A woman once told me she'd been getting full cuts every 3 weeks for 2 years, paying full price every single time, until a new stylist asked why she wasn't booking the cleanup appointments in between. She said it was the first time in 2 years someone had mentioned it existed, and it cut her monthly haircare spending almost in half. There's also a home maintenance piece that buys you extra days between any salon visit, and it's simpler than most women expect. A small pair of brow scissors, used very carefully, just on the single longest stray piece that tends to pop up at the nape or near the ear before everything else. Not a full home trim, just that one piece, snipped while the hair is dry and you can actually see it clearly. The before is a cut 3 or 4 weeks past its prime. Edges soft and shapeless around the nape. The after is the same cut with crisp, clean edges from a quick cleanup appointment. Now, all of this maintenance matters, but none of it means anything if the cut you chose in the first place doesn't actually suit your face shape. And that's the piece almost nobody walks you through clearly. Part 5. Matching the cut to your face shape, not just a photo you liked. Almost every woman who walks into a salon with a printed photo of a short gray haircut is bringing in a photo of someone with a different face shape than her own. And that mismatch is the single biggest reason a cut that looked stunning on Pinterest looks merely fine in real life. It's not that the cut was wrong. It's that the cut was right for a different bone structure, and nobody pointed that out before the scissors came out. If your face is rounder, with softer angles through the jaw, the cuts that flatter you most are the ones with height at the crown and shorter sides. That vertical lift elongates a round face. A close crop with no height on top, on a round face specifically, can actually widen the appearance of the cheeks rather than slimming them. If your face is longer or more angular, the opposite is true. You want a cut with more width and softness around the temples and jaw rather than added height. Something like the textured crop we talked through earlier, which fills out the sides rather than adding length on top. The fix here isn't complicated, but it does require actually doing it rather than skipping it. Before your next cut, stand in front of a mirror and trace your jawline with a finger, slowly. Is it mostly straight across? Or does it curve? Is your forehead wider than your jaw? Or are they close to even? That 10-second assessment tells a good stylist almost everything they need to know about which of the cuts we've covered will actually flatter your specific bone structure, rather than just the bone structure of the woman in the photo you brought in. The snapback here is real and immediate. A cut chosen for your actual face shape doesn't just look good. It looks effortless, like it was always meant to be there. People stop saying, "I love your haircut," and start saying, "You look amazing," because the compliment shifts from the hair itself to your whole face, which is exactly the goal. A friend of mine brought in 3 different printed photos to 3 different salon visits over 2 years, chasing a look that never quite landed the way it did in the photo, until a new stylist finally just looked at her face for a long moment and said, "Forget the photos. Let's talk about your actual jawline." That one conversation changed more than any of the 3 photos had. The before is choosing a cut purely from a photo without considering face shape, walking out merely satisfied. The after is a cut chosen specifically for her own bone structure, walking out genuinely thrilled. You now know which shortcut actually flatters your specific face shape, how to keep the edges sharp between visits without paying for a full cut every time, and why gray hair specifically benefits from texture and lift instead of a flat, blunt finish. And that's more than most women learn in years of trial and error in the salon chair. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 cuts matches your face shape best, the pixie, the crop, or the close crop style? Next time, I'm covering the exact products that make gray hair look silver and luminous instead of yellow or dull, so you'll want to be here for that one. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Beauty, and I'll see you in the next one.